Alright, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh, alhamdulillah. Welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to talk about one of those miracles that Allah gave us. This is one of the miracles ever. The two seeds that meet, but they never mix. So we're going to talk about that. I have a YouTube channel that had talked about it, so I'm gonna do a review on it, to show you why, this is all happening and stuff like that. This is the real truth. You can see right there how they split apart. You know what I mean? They don't mix. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and for them, they couldn't even figure it out. But scientists has already figured it out. So we're gonna go with what the scientist says. They studied the Quran and stuff like that. I'm telling you guys, the Quran is a miracle. Read it. I'm telling you, there's so many proofs in it. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh, alhamdulillah. I'll see you next clip.
For our next point of interest, let's look at this ocean, or should we say oceans. What's going on here? It looks like two oceans are meeting, but can't combine. To those with an untrained eye, it definitely looks like something from a science fiction film. How often do we get to see something that dramatic? This photo in particular has been making the rounds on the internet for a few years under different titles. This photo is certainly mysterious, and internet detectives have been trying their best to solve the query. The photo has been known as Where the Baltic and North Sea Meet, along with other names. But the photo was actually taken in the Gulf of Alaska in 2007 by a man named Kent Smith while he was on a cruise with oceanographers studying what role iron plays in the Gulf of Alaska. It first appeared on the web in 2010. Before we start freaking out about biblical changes to the ocean, this one can thankfully be explained. The effect is caused by slow-moving currents known as eddies. These eddies are known to carry a lot of glacial sediment, which can cause the dramatic color difference. So, it seems our oceans are not splitting down the middle yet.
Alright, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh, alhamdulillah. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and do the speech robot because I'm beat. I've been doing a lot this morning, so let's go ahead and start it.
King Quran on seas and rivers description, barriers between various types of water found in nature, a fact mentioned in the Quran expounded by science. Modernized science has discovered that in the places where two different seas meet, there is a barrier between them. This barrier divides the two seas so that each sea has its own temperature, salinity, and density. For example, Mediterranean sea water is warm, saline, and less dense compared to Atlantic Ocean water. When Mediterranean sea water enters the Atlantic over the Gibraltar Sill, it moves several hundred kilometers into the Atlantic at a depth of about 1,000 meters with its own warm, saline, and less dense characteristics. The Mediterranean water stabilizes at this depth. The Mediterranean seawater as it enters the Atlantic over the Gibraltar Sill with its own warm, saline, and less dense characteristics because of the barrier that distinguishes between them. Temperatures are in degrees Celsius, C degrees. Marine geology, UNN, with a slight enhancement. Although there are large waves, strong currents, and tides in these seas, they do not mix or transgress this barrier. The Holy Quran mentioned that there is a barrier between two seas that meet and that they do not transgress. God has said, He has set free the two seas meeting together. There is a barrier between them. They do not transgress. Quran 55:19-20. But when the Quran speaks about the divider between fresh and salt water, it mentions the existence of a forbidding partition with the barrier. God has said in the Quran, He is the one who has set free the two kinds of water, one sweet and palatable, and the other salty and bitter. And He has made between them a barrier and a forbidding partition. Quran 25:53. One may ask, Why did the Quran mention the partition when speaking about the divider between fresh and salt water, but did not mention it when speaking about the divider between the two seas? Modern science has discovered that in estuaries, where fresh, sweet, and salt water meet, the situation is somewhat different from what is found in places where two seas meet. It has been discovered that what distinguishes fresh water from salt water in estuaries is a pycnocline zone with a marked density discontinuity separating the two layers. 3. This partition zone of separation has a different salinity from the fresh water and from the salt water. 4. See Figure 2. Figure 2. Longitudinal section showing salinity, parts per thousand per mil in an estuary. We can see here the partition zone of separation between the fresh and the salt water. Introductory Oceanography, Thurman, with a slight enhancement. This information has been discovered only recently, using advanced equipment to measure temperature, salinity, density, oxygen solubility, etc. The human eye cannot see the difference between the two seas that meet. Rather, the two seas appear to us as one homogeneous sea. Likewise, the human eye cannot see the division of water in estuaries into the three kinds: fresh water, salt water, and the partition zone of separation.
Alright, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh. That's a miracle. A miracle, guys.
It's 9 o'clock.
So, it's 9 o'clock for it's time for me to take it in, guys. Alright, thanks for watching. Remember, come to Islamic Prince on YouTube, and we'll do some more science stuff. I love science. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh. Alhamdulillah.